getting played at WNBA games in Las Vegas, Seattle, Minneapolis, and Chicago. The Dodgers hit 5 home runs last night, 4 in the 6th inning to pound the Texas Rangers. The Angels lost to Arizona. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 is the fastest growing talk radio station in Southern California. Home to 50,000 watts and an audience reach of 12 million listeners. KBLA Talk 1580 is a pioneer for Black audio content, including our groundbreaking $2 million climate justice campaign and the most loyal, influential audience. According to an independent research study by the polling firm Aviterus, for the second consecutive year, KBLA Talk 1580 is the most trustworthy, reliable, and credible news source for Black audiences and beyond in Southern California. Let KBLA Talk 1580 power your advertising dollars. Our omni-channel custom marketing solutions are specifically tailored to connect with your ideal target audience. We leverage audio, podcasts, streaming, digital, social media, and local activations to get your message out to the Black community. Get in touch with our advertising team today at advertising@KBLA1580.com. That's advertising at KBLA1580.com. KBLA 1580. We've got you Black.
You can live your life in a crowded city. You can walk along a crowded street. But the city really ain't no bigger than the friendly people that you meet.
I'm Tavis Smiley, that's Bill Withers. We are playing some of the best of Bill Withers. All 3 hours of our program today, given that June is Black Music Month, and every day in the month of June we choose a particular African-American artistic genius whose grand contributions we celebrate all 3 hours of our program. And today that person is the pride of West Virginia, Bill Withers. And he's sounding awfully good. I miss Bill Withers. If you never saw the documentary about Bill's life and work and witness, check it out. It's called Still Bill. I'm sure Netflix, somebody, it's everywhere. It's called Still Bill. It's an amazing documentary about the life and times of one Bill Withers. I highly recommend it. Something you can check out tonight or this weekend, but just a great, great documentary about Bill Withers. And again, I highly recommend it. In this hour, 2 conversations on the B side of this hour. Rawa Gamatsian is our guest as we continue our series on climate justice, climate equity, and climate resilience. We've been talking all year long and will continue for the rest of this year to talk about climate and the Black community in advance of our historic symposium this Tuesday night coming up, June the 18th. We'll be live on C-SPAN in prime time, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific. But the nation, for the first time ever, will see a stage full of Black folk talking about the urgency of now, climate and the Black community. We got to flip the script. We are the victims of these climate catastrophes, and yet we've been left out of this conversation. And I say no more. And so we're going back live on C-SPAN with these Black think tanks that we have done for so many years. Then we called it the State of the Black Union. This series is a bit different, but at its essence, it is a stage full of brilliant Black minds talking about wrestling with, marinating on, in public spaces, the issues of the day. And so we'll do that this Tuesday night coming up, June 18th, live on C-SPAN for a climate justice symposium. You do not want to miss that. So we'll talk to Rawa Gamatsian about this Shut the Fossils Up climate care campaign on the B side of this hour. But we commence this hour in conversation with historian Eric Majette Jr., who takes us inside his traveling museum of 10,000 pieces of Black history called the African American Cultural Heritage Collection, and I'm pleased to welcome Eric Majette Jr. to this program. Eric, how are you today, sir?
I'm fantastic, Mr. Smiley. How are you?
Man, if I complained, I'd be an ingrate. I'm doing the best I can, and I'm honored to have you on this program. Let me jump right in. I gave a big overview of what this collection is, but tell me about this African American Cultural Heritage Collection, and we'll jump from there, sir.
Yes, sir. Well, it's an honor to be here. I'm a huge fan of yours and followed your career, so it's definitely an honor to be here with you. I started basically at the age of 8 collecting our history. I was interested in knowing who I was as an individual, as a Black individual, and became my family historian. And then from there, once I got a grasp of that, I wanted to know who I was culturally. My first pen pal at the age of 8 was the legendary Lena Horne, and that's what kind of started off my collection. I have 15,000 pieces now. It's pretty amazing, the span. The earliest are original 15th century maps of Africa, and the most contemporary are my Black music collection, which is so, appropriate for this month. I have one of the largest RIAA platinum and gold Black music collections. And the definitive collections for Malcolm X, Martin Luther King, Marcus Garvey, Madam C.J. Walker, and Amy Malone. Those are my 5 definitive collections. And I have everything else in between.
We'll walk through those 5 definitive collections in a moment, but let me just pause for a second, because you ran right past that so quickly and so smoothly. it deserves some interrogations. Let me just pause for a second. I feel like Fred Sanford. I was watching Sanford and Son the other night, and it was the episode that Lena Horne was on. And when Lena walks into the room, Fred has the big one. It's the biggie. He had the big one for the umpteenth time when Lena Horne walked into his house. Fred G. Sanford had the big one. So when we come forward, I don't want to get you started now. I only have 45 seconds here. Let me just tell you where I want to go, and you're going to unpack this for me in just a few seconds here. But how does one at the age of 8 become a pen pal with Lena Horne? That story right there. We'll get back to the collection, but I want to hear how you become a pen pal with Lena Horne at the age of 8. His name is Eric Majette Jr. His piece, his museum, traveling museum, is called the African American Culture Heritage Collection. More with Eric when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
From Leimert Park with love. This is Tavis Smiley.
Have you not been feeling yourself lately? Have your weight loss dreams turned into weight gain nightmares? Have you been chasing those same 20 pounds for 20 years now? Well, if so, it's time for D-Herbs. D-Herbs Full Body Cleanse, a natural cleansing regimen that can help you lose 20 pounds in just 20 days. The Full Body Cleanse will also boost your immune system and improve your digestion with summer here now. A good time as any to stop chasing those 20 pounds and prepare yourself into a healthier lifestyle, to reboot your system and lose weight starting right now. Just go to dherbs.com and order your full body cleanse, or call 866-434-3727. If you mention Tavis, they will kindly give you a discount at checkout. dherbs.com. Experience healing.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
Grid Alternatives is a nonprofit organization in Los Angeles. We serve communities who have been left out of the renewable energy sector. We provide free solar systems to our qualified homeowners and renters. We design and install the solar systems at no cost to you ever. Call today, 866-921-4696. Again, 866-921-4696. Or visit gridsolar.org. That's gridsolar.org. Don't be left out any longer.
I have diabetes. I'm at risk for pneumococcal pneumonia.
I have asthma. I'm at risk too.
If you're 19 or older with chronic conditions like asthma, diabetes, COPD, or heart disease, or are 65 or older, you are at increased risk for pneumococcal pneumonia. Ask your doctor or pharmacist about Prevnar 20, pneumococcal 20-valent conjugate vaccine, a Pfizer vaccine that can help protect you against pneumococcal pneumonia in just one dose. Even if you've already been vaccinated with other pneumonia vaccines, Prevnar 20 may help provide added protection. Prevnar 20 is approved for adults to help prevent infections from 20 strains of the bacteria that cause pneumococcal pneumonia. Continued approval may depend on a supportive study. Don't get Prevnar 20 if you've had a severe allergic reaction to the vaccine or its ingredients. Adults with weakened immune systems may have a lower response to the vaccine. Side effects include pain and swelling at the injection site, fatigue, headache, muscle, and joint pain. For full prescribing information, please call 1-855-213-2138 or visit Prevnar20.com.
Eggs are a staple in our diets, and there's only one egg with more delicious farm fresh taste plus superior nutrition. Eggland's Best. With more vitamins, including 6 times more vitamin D and 10 times more vitamin E, plus 25% less saturated fat than ordinary eggs. Available in so many delicious varieties: classic, cage-free, and organic. Eggland's Best. Better taste, better nutrition, better eggs.
Smart talk for curious people just like you. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
My friends feel it's their appointed duty. They keep trying to tell me all you want to do is use me. But my answer ain't all that use me stuff. I want to spread the news that if it feels it's good getting used, oh, you just keep on using me until you use me up.
Ain't nobody like him. Bill Withers is our featured artist today as we move through all 3 hours of our program. We continue to celebrate June as Black Music Month all month long. You heard Eric say a moment ago that this is June, and he will talk in a moment about his the music part of his collection. We are honored to have him on the program to celebrate his traveling museum of 10,000 different pieces of Black history. It's called the African American Cultural Heritage Collection, and I'm pleased to have Eric Majette Jr. on this hour to talk about the importance of preserving Black American history. Before I get to that part, though, let me put it in reverse right quick and get back to this story that he ran right past about becoming a pen pal with Lena Horne at the age of 8. All right, Eric, I need to hear more about this story, man.
Yes, sir. And it's actually 15,000 pieces, not 10 any longer.
All right, 15,000. The number you keep collecting. So my data is off because you keep collecting. I ain't mad at you. We'll talk about the 15,000 in a second. Tell me about this relationship with Lena Horne.
Yeah, so it actually was pretty awesome. Around that time, I think I was in 5th grade, and they wanted us to, have pen pals. The class was actually doing like some other school out in Ohio. I'm from New Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
So that really wasn't exciting to me. At that point, I was really delving into like our family history. So I was very, very resourceful. And, that's funny because I remember an interview that you did somewhere around that time was with Shirley Caesar.
Mm-hmm.
And I went into the phone book and I actually found Lena Horne in Harlem. And that's actually how it started. So I sent her a letter. And she sent me a letter back and signed some, back then they used to do 3.5 by 5 note cards.
Mm-hmm.
So she would sign that stuff, and then she sent me some of her signed memorabilia she did that one-woman show on Broadway several times. So she sent me a bunch of those programs, some signed photos, and we just went back and forth literally up until she died. She even sent me a copy of her last album that she put out. That's early. That's mid '90s when she put that last note album out on Blue Note record.
Eric, I'm just laughing because you found Lena Horne in the phone book.
In the phone book, yeah. Her and Dick Gregory were the only two black celebrities that were still in the phone book. How crazy is that?
That is crazy. So you find Lena Horne and Dick Gregory in the phone book. You become pen pals / friends with both of them. Now so let me just back up. You were such a kid. You were such a kid when you established this pen pal relationship with Lena Horne. So two questions in that regard. I'm watching my time here. Number one, of all the persons you could have been pen pals with, my first question is, why did you want to be pen pals with Lena Horne?
I don't know. Her just everything about her kind of stood out to me.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know the depth of who she was at that point.
Right.
I just knew that she was somebody important to me. And then, of course, later on, I'm like, wow. It's like that was an amazing connection so early, but it was kind of setting me up for my destiny.
Yeah.
And then years later, Dick Gregory becoming one of my mentors and a huge supporter of the collection. He's actually the one that gave me my name, the Keeper of the Jewels.
Mm-hmm. So that's my second question, which you've kind of already addressed to some extent. But let me ask you more directly anyway, more expressly. Because you started this pen pal relationship with Lena Horne and all this memorabilia that she signed and sent to you that you now have in your collection starting as a kid, at what point did you realize what you had really tapped into? Again, as a kid, you just knew she was famous and she was somebody important. But when did you start to really wrestle with what you had tapped into, Eric?
Ooh, that didn't happen until probably around 2010-ish.
Mm-hmm.
2010, 2012. Around that time, I really realized I had moved back up north from Atlanta. I was in New York teaching at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sitting in my living room of my apartment, and I suddenly said, look around. I looked around and said, oh, wow, I've got a museum here. And the voice said to me, what good is it doing here?
Mm.
And I remember feeling convicted by that and knowing that I had to go out and share what I've, collected.
Yeah.
And that's really what started me on that path.
All right, so tell me about that part. That's why I wanted to have you on to talk about this traveling museum of 15,000 pieces of black history. So you realize it's not doing much good sitting here with me looking at it every day. Take me on the next step of this journey.
Oh boy, that actually cultivated I was trying to figure out how to do it. So I was a teacher already. By that time, I had left Tyler Perry Studios and was out now, completely retired, quote unquote, from film and television, and became a kindergarten teacher. So I was teaching in the inner schools in Brooklyn, Brownsville, Brooklyn, actually.
Mm-hmm.
And from there, I was just like, I need to share this information because I started to see how the curriculum was in the schools and how it lacked black history and accurate a variety of.
Yeah, let me. All of a sudden, the phone line goes haywire on me. When you get to the good part of how this became a traveling museum exhibition, the phone line acts up. It's live radio. That happens every now and again, sadly. So we'll try to get that addressed and continue our conversation with Eric Majette Jr. Miles, we'll get him back on the line in a moment. But in case you just tuned in, we're talking to Eric Majette Jr. He's a historian. He's just now telling the story of being a teacher in kindergarten. I want to talk about that part. Not often that you see black men teaching kindergartners, and so there's a sensitivity and a softness and something sweet about that notion. Black boys don't see enough black men in the classroom as it is. I didn't see my first black male teacher, I kid you not, until I was a sophomore in college. I was a sophomore in college before I ever had a black male teacher, which shouldn't be too surprising. Growing up in Indiana, in the Midwest, not a lot of black male teachers there, but I didn't have one until my sophomore year in college. And here Eric Majette Jr. is as a black male teaching kids in kindergarten. I think I have Eric back. Eric, can you hear me now? Well, you could always hear me. I just couldn't hear you.
Yes, I'm so sorry about that.
No.
But and it's funny that you mentioned that. The first thing that actually inspired me was my first black teacher that I had was actually a female. My fifth grade teacher, Dr. Carletha Polk-Roy.
Mm-hmm.
She was the first black person that I ever knew that had a PhD, and first teacher ever that had a PhD that I had. And then my first social studies teacher, I believe that was around seventh grade. He was a black male. And he's one that really got me into our history more and seeing our history from a black perspective.
Yeah.
So that's really also what kind of got me along that way as well. So I want to kind of throw
nothing like doing shout outs to those African American teachers who helped shape you. I ain't ever mad about that with any of my guests. I always shout out these teachers. I regard them as the most underserved, unregarded, disrespected profession in our country. I wish we treated our teachers here like they do in Finland. In Finland, they're almost iconic. They're heroes in Finland. But in this country, we don't give teachers the respect they deserve. I digress on that. That's a conversation for another time. But I love teachers, and we don't give them their props as we should. But let me ask you right quick before I get back to the collection. As a black male, I was saying a moment ago when we were getting you back on the line, I was saying that black boys don't see black male teachers enough in the classroom, period. But I can't imagine what it would be like to be a black boy, to have a kindergarten teacher who's a black male. That's something special. Tell me about your time as a kindergarten teacher.
Oh, my God. It's absolutely amazing. It's really funny because all my students now from my first class, they just graduated high school and are freshmen in college. So that experience alone was so groundbreaking for me, knowing that our children, their very first or foundational information that they get is kindergarten. So if they're not getting what they need at that age, then that will mess them up for the rest of their lives, or it can set them up for success for the rest of their lives. So knowing how important that was, I literally put everything to the side because up until that point, I was working in entertainment. So that really was the most, amazing experience of my life. Was teaching.
I hear it in your voice, man. I don't just hear it; I feel it. And so I didn't know what the answer was going to be, but I'm glad I asked that question. Let me turn now back to the collection. His name is Eric Majette Jr. In case you've just tuned in, we're talking about his amazing traveling museum exhibition of 15,000 pieces of black history. It's called the African American Cultural Heritage Collection. He was dubbed the Keeper of the Jewels by the late, great Dick Gregory. We were talking earlier about his pen pal relationship with Alina Horn. So it's an amazing story, this life and legacy of one Eric Majette Jr. So watching my time, I got about 5 minutes left in dialogue with you. Turn with me, if you will, and tell me how all of these pieces that you've continued to add on to over the years became a traveling museum.
Oh, boy. As I think we started to touch on earlier, after kind of being convicted by realizing that having it in my apartment at the time and my house in Atlanta, it wasn't doing any good. So I realized the responsibility I had by collecting these pieces to tell our stories. All too often, many times, our stories are being told by other people and are either diluted, to make them palatable or, all those things. So I took that responsibility very, very seriously. And then that's when I actually began to go around and share it. Went from school to school. And then from there, just started traveling across the country. So also, when I went to go teach in China, I also, spreading it over there as well.
Yeah. So with a collection that large, one, some practical questions. Where do you house all this stuff, number one? And number two, how do you decide and how do you practically travel it around?
Oh, yes. So it's down to a science now.
Yeah.
It's very easy. I have I'm sure you're familiar with like Pelican cases. I have everything pretty much in Pelican cases to actually take around the country. I'll usually fly. I don't ship anything anymore. I usually fly with it or drive. And when we're routing things, it's very, very easy to travel. And then setting up is pretty easy. We either do some jewelry cases and actually put everything on display, or we kind of bring our custom pop-up cases as well. And that really it's pretty easy to actually take it on. It's just really kind of getting with the space that's, that we're presenting in and making it go from there.
Yep. Share with me and the audience these 5 definitive parts of the collection.
Oh, so the definitive collections, the Malcolm X. So what exactly did you want me to go into? I want to give you exactly what you want, because I know our time is limited.
Yeah, it is. But you referenced earlier these five definitive parts as you defined them of the collection. Just walk me through those 5.
Oh, my God. Okay. So the Malcolm X, I'll start with that one because that's one of my favorites. I have Malcolm X's mugshots, his entrance mugshot from when he actually, served jail the last time when he was introduced to the Nation of Islam. I also have his brother who introduced him to the Nation of Islam, his high school yearbook. I have Malcolm X's first letter to the parole board, which actually shows who he was prior to his actual introduction to the Nation of Islam. So you get a full picture of who this man was. Then also his parole papers. I'm jumping back because there is a lot more. But I have his emancipation papers, I like to call it. So that's signed by him. Also his exit mugshot as well. Let's see what else. I have a letter from him.
I'm sorry. So I'm just watching my time. I got about 2 minutes left here. So I just want to know what they were. So that's the Malcolm one. Give me the other four.
Okay, so Marcus Garvey, I have Marcus Garvey's actual, his cutlery, his china set that he, when he was on the Black Star Line that he would eat off of, his platter. I have some of the original photos, let me see, letters, everything from Marcus Garvey. That collection is very expansive. For Madam C.J. Walker, I have almost her full original line. I have her original textbook. Diplomas signed by her, letters, postcards. Annie Malone, same thing, which was Madam C.J. Walker's mentor and former boss. So I have a bunch of original stuff from Poirot, as well as MLK. MLK, I have a ton of original stuff from him, signed postcards, checks from the Montgomery bus boycott. Let's see. A medallion that he actually had made for his close friends and confidants in the movement that actually has like a it's almost like a penny, but it has his image on it, and it's a large medallion that he made into a necklace.
That's impressive alone to have Malcolm's items, Marcus Garvey, Madam C.J. Walker, Annie Malone, MLK. A lot of M's there, but it's an impressive collection. I some years ago, some of you may recall, did a traveling exhibition called the African American Imprint, America I Am. We traveled that thing for 4 years. We traveled it for 4 years around the country. We had over 300 items in that exhibit. I had over 300. He has over 15,000. 15,000.
And I have that book too that you put out.
Oh, thank you. No, that coffee table book is a gorgeous book, America I Am. I love that book. I just saw it the other day somewhere. But his collection is called the African American Cultural Heritage Collection, as I said, now 15,000 pieces of Black history. And he travels it all across the country. Tell me right quick where people can go online right quick to learn more about the collection, Eric.
Yes, sir. They can go to blackhistoryarchives.com.
blackhistoryarchives.com is where you can go right now.
Yes, sir.
To learn more about this traveling museum exhibition brought to us by Eric Majette Jr., and maybe it will be somewhere in your neck of the woods in the not-too-distant future. Eric, thank you for just valuing and treasuring our history. Thank you for collecting these artifacts, but mostly thank you for sharing them with us, and thank you for sharing this conversation with me, sir. I appreciate you.
Thank you, Mr. Smiley. It's been a pleasure.
An honor to have had you on, my friend. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Unapologetically progressive. Unapologetically black. You're tapped into Tavis Smiley.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know the United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time? Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish, minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A deadly and dangerous heat dome over the west is moving toward the eastern seaboard. Florida has tropical rainstorms with gusty winds, lightning, and flooding. The World Bank says the impressive U.S. economy is powering the rest of the world, upgrading its outlook for the global economy. Its latest outlook estimates a 2.6 global economy expansion. CNN is taking a beating in the ratings. Now layoffs and other changes may be forthcoming at the third-place cable news network. Bad Boys Ride or Die is dominating the box office all over the nation. And that's the latest. I'm Ray Harris on your home for 24/7 News, the Black Information Network, and BINnews.com.
Need money for the holidays? Avoid the yikes before Christmas. Hurry into Jackson Hewitt for a holiday loan on your tax refund, up to $1,000. Early refund advance offered to eligible clients. Application required. Finance charge applies. Loans by Republic Bank. Details at jacksonhewitt.com.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The NBA Finals resumes tonight in Dallas for Game 3. The Boston Celtics have a 2-0 lead. A significant injury concern for the Celtics. Backup center Kristaps Porzingis has a tendon issue in his left leg. Porzingis is listed as questionable. Tip-off time tonight is 5:30 on ABC Channel 7. Hip-hop star Kendrick Lamar, who grew up in Compton, has a hit song that's in major rotation at sports arenas around the country. Lamar's song, Not Like Us, is the walk-up tune used by Dodgers second baseman Gavin Lux when he steps into the batter's box. Not Like Us was played at TD Garden in Boston during the first 2 games of the NBA Finals. The song is also getting played at WNBA games in Las Vegas, Seattle, Minneapolis, and Chicago. The Dodgers hit 5 home runs last night, 4 in the 6th inning to pound the Texas Rangers. The Angels lost to Arizona. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
We're not just a thermometer recording and broadcasting popular opinion. We aim to be a thermostat, transforming the conversation about climate justice in our community. This is KBLA Talk 1580. Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
I'm Reverend Gerald, the life coach. Is someone you love struggling with addiction and mental illness? Is improving your family's health important? Want to leave a legacy that your family can grow? Are you ready to enhance your perception of life experiences? Then wake up weekends at 7 a.m. with Urban Family Focus and get the wisdom, opportunity, resources, and motivation to live your best life. Join the conversation on Urban Family Focus Saturday and Sunday at 7 a.m.
Unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580. We've got your black.
Grab a proper breakfast with Wendy's new $3 English muffin breakfast deal. Limited time only. U.S. price and participation may vary. Select a request English muffin deal to obtain discount. Not valid for a la carte or combo orders. Single item at regular price.
Don't shave with that, son. You'll get razor bumps.
Nah, Pops. I'm good with Gillette's Skin Guard. How long you been growing that beard anyway? You know Mama hates it.
Yeah, had it since my last wet shave in 77. Got ingrown so bad, looked like I was growing a patch of new noses.
That's why I use the Gillette Skin Guard razor, face scrub, shave gel, and moisturize, so I don't have to worry about new razor bumps or shaving irritation.
Gillette Skin Guard, huh? Your mama's gonna love this one.
I feel occasional burning and stabbing in my hands as I age.
I sometimes feel numbness and tingling in my feet as I get older.
It's starting to get in the way of doing what I love.
At Nervive, we hear you, and we can help. Nervive's clinically studied dose of alpha-lipoic acid reduces occasional nerve discomfort in as little as 7 days with continued daily use.
Now that I know, I'm taking control.
Try Nervive Nerve Relief and say yes to healthy nerves. These statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
This is the story of the one. As a maintenance engineer, he hears things differently. To the untrained ear, everything on his shop floor might sound fine, but he can hear gears grinding or a belt slipping. So he steps in to fix the problem at hand before it gets out of hand. And he knows Grainger's got the right product he needs to get the job done, which is music to his ears. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Let's get back to more of Tavis Smiley right now.
A man we passed just tried to stare me down. And when I looked at you, you looked at the ground. I don't know who he is, but I think that you do. Dadgummit, who is he and what is a he to you? I had something in my heart and in your eye. Tells me he's not someone just passing by. And when you cleared your throat, was that your cue?
I'm Tavis Smiley, and that's Bill Withers, who we are featuring today on our program, all 3 hours of our program today, playing some of the best of Bill Withers. Why? Glad you asked, because June is Black Music Month, and every day on this program, in the month of June, we choose a particular African-American artist and play some of the best of their music on our soundtracks, the soundtracks of our lives, as we weave through 3 hours of conversation with these amazing guests. And so today, we are pleased to bring you some of the best, all 3 hours of this program, of the late, great Bill Withers. As promised now, a conversation with the Senior Policy Fellow at the Just Solutions Collective, Rawa Gamatsian, to talk about this project, this campaign called Shut the Fossils Up. Shut the Fossils Up. We are having this conversation as part of our ongoing series of conversations about what I call the urgency of now, climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience. In advance of, the conversations go all year long, but we are inviting you and reminding you to join us next Tuesday, June the 18th, for something historic the nation has never seen on national television, a stage full of nothing but black thought leaders, opinion makers, influencers, fighters, pick your term, but all these African Americans will join me on stage next Tuesday night, live on C-SPAN in prime time at 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific. But again, live on C-SPAN Tuesday, June 18th, a historic conversation featuring nothing but black people, people of color, talking about these particular issues. Given that we are the ones who are often victimized by these maladies, why should we be left out of this conversation? In many respects, I regard climate and everything related to it as a silent killer in our community. And so we're going to flip the script. We're going to change that next Tuesday night, June 18th, live on C-SPAN with this amazing panel of black thinkers. You don't want to miss that. So we'll have these conversations all year long as part of our climate justice campaign. But again, join us next Tuesday night on C-SPAN. So I'm pleased to welcome Rawa to this program. How are you today? Good to have you on the program.
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me, Tavis.
It's my great delight to have you on the program. Let me just jump in, make the most of the time I have left with you in this half hour. Let me start, given what I've just said a moment ago, by putting you on the spot, but I know you can handle it, given your brilliance. But how would you make the case? First, I'm going to ask two questions, which I don't typically do, but ask two questions, get out of your way, and let you weave them together. The first question, of course, is to tell me about this Shut the Fossils Up campaign that you and others are spearheading. So tell me about the campaign. But I want you to do is to link that, though. Tell me why this campaign in particular, why this issue of fossil fuels should matter to all of us, but particularly and especially to black people. I ask that, as you already figured out, because this is not a sexy subject, but as I call it, it is a silent killer. And we should not, as people of color, certainly African Americans, be left out of these conversations. But I need your help convincing this audience why this stuff ought to matter to them. With that, I stand down. It's all yours, Rawa.
Well, thank you so much for that, Tavis. I think there's a really easy way of explaining why it is important, especially for black and brown communities, is that we know the transition to the clean energy economy is inevitable. Otherwise, we will not have a planet to live on. So we know it's inevitable. The thing that I've worked on for the last 20 years of my life in this arena in particular is justice is not. And the reason why we work on climate policy, and we call it it's climate justice and environmental justice, because we know that not all communities will feel the impacts the same. So generally, indigenous communities, black communities, other people of color communities are often not the people that are causing the greatest harm and causing catastrophic climate change as we are feeling it now. Unfortunately, they are the people who suffer the most, who are burdened the most. And the reason why it's important to shut the fossils up, as we say, and that is very tongue-in-cheek, the STFU logo, is that, these fossil fuel industries globally, not just in the United States, but globally, are making more profits than ever. They have been around for more than 100 years. And, institutions that have been building off of profit that long, they're not going to go down easy. And so they are doing everything they can in their power to push out disinformation campaigns about why the transition cannot happen. Meanwhile, do know the transition is already beginning to happen, and it's happening more and more in affluent communities. So my work is to address the issue of having a racially just transition and an economically just transition before we can address the issues of climate change and addressing our climate and building resilience. The reason for that is policies of old have kept those communities down, not able to move up upward, mobility on the economic ladder, if you will. And oftentimes that's been by intention. For example, one that everybody's finally talking about is historic redlining that kept, in particular, Black people, but other communities of color as well, out of living in certain neighborhoods, even if they were economically able to purchase homes in those neighborhoods simply because of the color of their skin, because it was thought that they would bring the housing values down, right? Again, white supremacy and racism. And so that kept a lot of Black people from being able to enjoy middle-class life and have upward economic mobility. So right now we have an opportunity with all of these infrastructure bills and addressing our climate to actually center equity, center the people that will be harmed first and worst by the impacts of climate change, and shore them up and begin to build in resilience. That means everybody else will actually do better. Yeah. But if we only invest in communities that can afford to, if you will, right? Whether the government intercedes or not, are able to make that transition on their own, that means that not only will affordability, which is already an issue in low-income communities, be a problem, it will be a much larger problem because they will now be having to pay for maintaining those old fossil fuel infrastructures while affluent people are, enjoying the benefits of more affordable renewable energy.
This audience hears me say this routinely, Rawa, that I leave this studio much smarter every day than when I come in. Thanks to brilliant guests like you. I love talking to people, which ain't hard to do, talking to people who are a whole lot smarter than I am. And you said something now that I've never, ever thought about. I mean, I've been at this for 30-plus years as a broadcaster, television and radio. I've never thought about it quite this way. And I hope the audience, I got a really smart audience, they listen well. I hope the audience heard what I just heard. So let me just recap for you what I just heard Rawa say. When we come forward, I'll get her to unpack this a great deal more. This is why this stuff matters. When we think of redlining, and literally one of our guests earlier today, Connie Rice, in our first hour, talked about redlining, referenced that term. There's all kinds of red lines. Joe Biden ain't got a red line when it comes to Israel, but there are all kinds of red lines that get drawn inside of Black communities every single day. Red lines here, red lines there, red lines crisscrossing, intersectional, the intersectionality of red lines. I could do a speech about that, couldn't I? The intersectionality rather, of red lines in the Black community. There's a thought. Let me write that down and come back to that later. But there are all kinds of red lines in our community. What am I pressing toward? You heard Ross say a moment ago that redlining has happened for decades. But we think of redlining, when she talked about it, my thought was, we think of redlining as keeping us out of certain neighborhoods. So you get redlined out of this, out of that, out of this space. But that redlining also works the other way. It keeps you out of certain spaces, but it consigns you to live in other places. So it keeps you out of here, but it consigns you to live over there. And then that starts to explain why we get access to all of these environmental hazards. Y'all see where I'm going with this? Never thought about it that way. I've always thought about redlining as keeping us out. Never thought about the flip side of redlining. It consigns you then. If you can't get in here, then you're forced to live over there on the other side of the tracks. And that's where all these environmental hazards are. And that's why we end up being victimized in ways that others don't. Never thought about it like that. Love having guests like Rawa Gamatsian. We'll continue with her when we come forward on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up.
Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone. And should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement.
Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
We interrupt our program to bring you this important message.
Pardon the interruption. It's me, Tavis Smiley, here to remind you that we are now just days away from our historic Climate Justice Symposium live on C-SPAN this coming Tuesday, June 18th, 4 to 7 p.m. at the California Science Center. We are now pushing capacity. So if you plan to join us, stop procrastinating and get to KBLA1580.com right now and register. Attendance is free, but registration is mandatory. Black folk are flying into LA from all across the country to be in the room when we go live to the world with a stage full of black brilliance on the eve of Juneteenth. And you live here, you better get to KBLA1580.com right now and claim your seat.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580, connecting you with services and solutions. Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles is a nonprofit law firm that protects and advances the rights of the most underserved, leveling the playing field and ensuring that everyone can have access to the justice system. Every year, LAFLA provides free, high-quality legal services to more than 100,000 people living in poverty across greater Los Angeles. Their unique combination of neighborhood offices, self-help centers at courthouses, and domestic violence clinics puts Legal Aid Foundation of Los Angeles on the front lines in vulnerable communities and at the forefront of change. LAFLA's expert team of attorneys, paralegals, and support staff works to provide direct representation, offer counsel and advice, provide referrals, and educate the community about their legal rights through workshops and seminars. With locations all over LA, you can access their services or volunteer to help no matter where you live. And if you have an urgent issue, call 213-235-0060. That's 213-235-0060. To get legal help, make a donation, or volunteer, visit lafla.org. lafla.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
He's rooting for everybody black. Everybody black. More of Tavis Smiley coming your way right now.
More of Robert Gamatsian coming your way in just a moment. She's a senior policy fellow at the Just Solutions Collective, and we're talking in this half hour about our climate justice work, her climate justice work, this big event we're doing on Tuesday, June the 18th, but more expressly, her project called Shut the Fossils Up. We'll talk about that more in our remaining moments in just a second. There is some breaking news that I am sad to share with you, but it is breaking news nonetheless. Reading now from the New York Times, who just put this story out 2 minutes ago. The Oklahoma Supreme Court has dismissed the Tulsa Massacre lawsuit. The last known remaining survivors of the 1921 attack by this white mob were hoping for their day in court. Let me read the first 3 or 4 paragraphs of this article. A historic quest for justice by the last 2 known survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre ended today with a state court ruling. The Oklahoma Supreme Court affirmed a lower court's dismissal of their lawsuit, the final legal stop for Leslie Benningfield Randall, 109, and Viola Ford Fletcher, 110. The women, who were small children at the time, argued that the destruction of what was then known as Black Wall Street and the massacre of up to 300 African Americans by a white mob amounted to an ongoing public nuisance and they sought reparations. The ruling concludes the lawsuit that Ms. Randall and Ms. Fletcher filed in 2020. Last year, another survivor of the massacre, Hughes Van Ellis, the younger brother of Mrs. Fletcher, died at 102. If you are a regular listener to this program, I hope that means you, and you. You recall just a few days ago, we reprised a conversation on the occasion of the 103rd anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre. 103 years ago, this massacre happened, and earlier this year in February, I had the then 109-year-old Mother Viola Ford Fletcher on this program. She came to L.A., flew to L.A. to see me, sat in the studio for a conversation about the lawsuit and everything else, her memories and this massacre that she endured as a child all those years ago. She was 109 then. She is now 110. And we reprised that conversation just a few weeks ago on this program as we looked back 103 years later on the Tulsa Massacre. But this is the final legal stop for Mother Viola Ford Fletcher, now 110, and Leslie Benningfield Randall, 109, the last two survivors. Sadly, it appears will die without ever having had their day in court, given this decision moments ago by the Oklahoma Supreme Court dismissing the Tulsa Massacre lawsuit. A lot more to be said about this, but now is not the moment. But it's a sad day in America when you have been subjected to that kind of massacre, not a riot, a massacre. And they will die, sadly, without ever having had their day in court. But what a great honor it was to have Mother Viola Ford Fletcher in this studio just a few months ago. Our remaining moments in this hour when we come forward, but wanted to get that breaking news to you right away. You are listening to Tavis Smiley.
More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
KBLA Talk 1580. We've got a lot to talk about.
KBLA Talk 1580 believes in community empowerment through the arts. Tia Chucha Central Cultural is on a mission to transform community in the Northeast San Fernando Valley and beyond through ancestral knowledge, the arts, literacy, and creative engagement. The Northeast San Fernando Valley has a population of about 500,000, the size of the city of Oakland, yet it has no bookstores, art galleries, or full-fledged cultural spaces until Tia Chuchas opened its doors in 2001. Founded by renowned poet and activist Luis Rodriguez, Tia Chuchas Cultural Center provides a year-round free or low-cost arts and literacy bilingual intergenerational programming in mural painting, music, dance, writing, visual arts, healing art sessions, and healing talking circles. Activities also include Mexica, Aztec dance, indigenous cosmology, philosophy, and 2 weekly open mic nights, one in Spanish, the other in English. In addition, they host author readings, film screenings, and art exhibits. To express yourself, heal yourself, attend an event, or volunteer, please visit www.tiachucha.org. That's TIACHUCHA.org. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580.
Did you know one of the best investments you can make? It's in yourself. At My Computer Career, in just a few months, you can start your new career in the high-demand, recession-resistant field of information technology. Isn't it time you invest in you and start a career in networking, cybersecurity, AI, or upskill to boost your current IT career? So get the ROI you deserve at My Computer Career, no experience necessary. Start now at mycomputercareer.edu.
Financial aid is available for qualified students, including the GI Bill.
More honesty than you can handle.
More empowerment than you can imagine.
You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Rawa Gamatsian, who is the Senior Policy Fellow at the Just Solutions Collective and is spearheading this project called Shut the Fossils Up, this climate care, climate justice campaign. I appreciate your patience, Rawa. We had that breaking news we had to get in about this decision by the Oklahoma Supreme Court to toss this case brought by these last two survivors of the Tulsa Race Massacre. But I leave the last 2 minutes of this hour to you, and here's my exit question. When it comes to Shut the Fossils Up, I've used the phrase that these issues of climate justice, climate equity, climate resilience are the urgency of now. If you agree with that, tell me why you believe that in these last 2 minutes.
Well, actually, you know what? It is a very sad day in America, and that Tulsa case. What I'm grateful for to those elders is that they brought the issue back front and center. Is that oftentimes we want to just forget what's happened in the past, which is why I do climate justice work, which is at the intersections of racial, economic, and environmental justice. We cannot address the environment without addressing racial and economic injustice that's happened in this country, in particular for BIPOC people. And that Tulsa case is exactly the kind of work that we're going to center. Because in order for there to be justice, in order for us to actually have a planet to live on, we have to invest and invest deeply, heavily, and intentionally in those communities first. Once we do that, there'll be, what do they say? Rising tides cause all boats to lift. That's what's going to happen in those communities. And that is why climate justice is important. And that is why everyone, as difficult, I know people are dealing with day-to-day stuff, and those things are important, and it is about survival. But the struggle is long, but this is an urgent moment because of the kind of climate catastrophes that are happening. This is a global issue, and it's everyone's issue. And if we want some justice as we make this transition, we need everyone to participate.
We do indeed. We'll talk more about it Tuesday night, June the 18th, live on C-SPAN, 7 Eastern, 6 Central, 4 Pacific, for the first ever gathering of a stage full of nothing but black people talking about these issues and why they matter to us and why our voices can no longer be silent in this conversation, given that these issues of climate are indeed the silent killer in our communities. For now, we thank Rawa Gamatsian, Senior Policy Fellow at the Just Solutions Collective, for her work and witness, but specifically on this Shut the Fossils Up campaign. Rawa, good to have you on. All the best to you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Take care.
Thank you. You take care. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Ray Harris, and here's the latest from the Black Information Network. A deadly and dangerous heat dome over the west is moving toward the eastern seaboard. Florida has tropical rainstorms with gusty winds, lightning, and flooding. The World Bank says the impressive U.S. economy is powering the rest of the world, upgrading its outlook for the global economy. Its latest outlook estimates a 2.6 global economy expansion. CNN is taking a beating in the ratings. Now